one way to look at this is if you're still in business 5 years later, then you've got something worth protecting. And so it's a no-brainer to invest a little bit more to keep that brand protection alive, because making it 5 years is tough. You're an entrepreneur. You've been doing this for 10 plus years. I've been doing it. I've been doing it for 10 years. I know how hard it is. And you bet your bottom dollar, I'm going to spend, I think it's $100 filing fee. It's going to change as time goes on with the USPTO.
Sure.
And a small fee on top of that if you use a service like ours to invest. Because if that's too much, then I'm not sure how your business has really stayed alive for 5 years or that you have something worth protecting.
Welcome back to Verified Original, where I talk to Travis Crabtree. I, Cami Huyse, who know nothing about legal things and do not play a legal person on the internet, ask an actual lawyer how to deal with your trademark, and also the owner and founder of Trademark Engine.
Hi, Cami. Nice to see you again.
It's good to see you. Okay, so you've taken me on a journey in the last couple of episodes, and if you guys missed them, you need to go back and hear it, but you've taken me on this journey about finding that I wanted to get a trademark or when I should get a trademark, and then what kind of thing I should file, and then how to file it and all of the stuff that goes with it, and then getting to that fancy R that you can put beside the name of your company or your logo or your slogan for your website or for yourself. Anything, really. I said, we'll talk about yourself too. We're going to do an episode about that coming up. But tell me, now that I'm registered, what next? What's next? What do I do with this registration? Is that all? Am I done?
Right. I wish it was the case, but no, you're not necessarily done. And so a trademark can last forever, unlike a copyright or a patent. Those are other intellectual property types of things. Those expire based on statute in a certain period of time. A trademark can last forever, but you have to do a little bit of work. And so it really depends on whether you have filed an in-use application, which is the normal one. I'm already selling something. I want to protect the brand. Let's start there. So you've got it registered. You have to file a renewal in year 5. And then you have to file another renewal at year 10. And it's really not that complicated. After that, every 10 years thereafter. So Coca-Cola or somebody that's been around forever, every 10 years, they're filing renewals to keep that trademark alive.
Or whatever trademark for any kind of thing that they have inside of their thing. That's why they have to have buildings of lawyers.
Yes. Yes.
So the first one is the first 5 years. So after that 5 years, you just pay something to USPTO or to Trademark Engine, or tell me how this works with you as as my registered legal help or whatever you want to call it. Maybe not the right way to say it.
No, that works for us. So you will get a notice both from Trademark Engine and from the USPTO that says, hey, your 5-year renewal is coming up. You need to do it. And there will be some messaging about if you don't do it, then your mark will be considered abandoned. It will go dead because you're no longer using it. You'll also receive a bunch of spam emails from not every lawyer and their dog, but a lot of lawyers who have access to the public database asking you, hey, I can handle your renewal. But what it takes is you have to prove to the USPTO that you're still using your name for the goods and services that matched your original description. So if you completely pivot, that's going to be a problem. But if you're still if you said I'm selling clothing, or we've used Cami's cookies in the past, you're still selling Cami's cookies.
Me hungry when we talk. I don't know.
You'll have to submit a new picture that says I'm still in business. I'm still selling Cami's cookies. And it's a relatively straightforward, but there's some filing fees at the USPTO. And if you use our service like this, we charge a service fee to help you do that. You can do it yourself. We don't want you to go to another lawyer or another provider, but you can, if you've grown and you're really big and you've got lawyers now, they can certainly take over and do it for you.
Okay, great. How do I prove that I'm using it? Like you were saying, you have to give them a picture, or do I just get my cookies and I just do this, or do I show my website, or what do I do?
Yeah, we should have another session on that's called the Specimen. And it's again, one of those, we talked in the past about goods and services get people tripped up in the classes. Giving an appropriate specimen is another area where people get tripped up a lot at the application stage. But the rules are essentially the same. You have to show that you're using it, the legal scary terms, in commerce. So if you were selling cookies online, you could just show a screenshot of your website. Again, we'd want to have a screenshot done right with the URL, preferably a date stamp on it. And somewhere in the screenshot, there's a button to check out, and you've got the name Cammy's Cookies somewhere in there. So that's the kind of prototypical online retail specimen. But it could be, if it's clothing, it could just be whatever this shirt. I don't
Tag.
remember the
Yeah.
tag on the back of the shirt and says,
Yes.
oh yeah, we're selling these shirts. So it just depends on what the offering is, but they're looking to see proof that you're selling goods and services for money in commerce.
And then you just have to do this after 5 years and then again after 10 years. Is there any payments in between that are necessary?
No, there's nothing that you need to do in between. It is that like clockwork, 5 year, 10 years, and then every 10 years thereafter. Then as long as you do that, there are some enforcement issues. Again, things can, if you don't enforce your trademark and you let a bunch of other Cammy's Cookies pop up and take over the world and they become a big name, and then you try to enforce your trademark 6 years later, that you're going to run into problems. But no additional filings or fees owed to the government.
Oh, wow. That's great. And then for you, for Trademark Engine, what would be my cost with trademark?
Yeah, so we offer a number of packages. Again, it depends on the level of service that you want to be involved in. For a lot of our customers, this is a pretty straightforward ordeal. And so they go with our lower priced offering. So you pay us a small service fee, and then we gather everything for you, hopefully again in plain English. If you have pivoted, if you have made some adjustments, that may be when you want to go with our higher end packages. So you can sit down and talk with the lawyer online, not sit down in an office, but
Like Zoom.
join them on Zoom and explain some of the changes so you can strategically position that renewal and hopefully keep that application alive and not have to file a new application because you pivoted away from what you told the USPTO you were doing 5 years ago when you first applied and got registered.
No, that's great. So again, it's something you have to keep doing and you have to keep it going, but it's like there's huge gaps. And a lot of people, I'm assuming, don't keep their trademark after 10 years. Is that true? What would be, you probably don't know this, but what, like percentage wise, would you say of people keep their trademarks longer than 10 years?
Yeah, I don't have that number, but we do know a lot of businesses fail. And usually one way to look at this is if you're still in business 5 years later, then you've got something worth protecting. And so it's a no-brainer to invest a little bit more to keep that brand protection alive, because making it 5 years is tough. You're an entrepreneur. You've been doing this for 10 plus years. I've been doing it. I've been doing it for 10 years. I know how hard it is. And you bet your bottom dollar, I'm going to spend, I think it's $100 filing fee. It's going to change as time goes on with the USPTO.
Sure.
And a small fee on top of that if you use a service like ours to invest. Because if that's too much, then I'm not sure how your business has really stayed alive for 5 years or that you have something worth protecting. But most of our customers who are still around, it's a small investment to keep that brand protection alive.
And I think it's interesting that we talk about this because this trademarking of something it's onerous in many ways as far as that goes. And it feels like a lot of people want to trademark a lot of different things, right? So do you often just say, hey, narrow it down, keep it concise, because you're gonna have to keep up with all this as you go along?
Yes. Again, hopefully we've taken care of that at the front end when you've used us to file your application, because a lot of our customers do start, oh, I'm going to do all these amazing things. I'm going to sell jellies and shirts, and hats, and I'm going to have an app, and I'm going to do all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, now you've just mentioned 10 things. That's 10 filing fees. And so that's $3,500. Let's focus on what you really want to start with. But if you do go that route and you did it from the outset, 5 years later, you're going to have to do 10 renewals, and you're going to have to show proof that you're still doing those 10 things. If you stop selling something, again, in this example, if you stop selling 2 of the 10, those classes will just go away. Your trademark will still be good for the remaining 8, but those other ones will disappear and no longer be enforceable, that you can't enforce jellies because you're no longer making
Doing
jelly.
jelly. Yeah. Or
Yeah,
Cammy's
I don't know why I'm bringing food, but
I don't know,
yes.
because I don't know, it's just a little bit past lunchtime. We're there in our minds. But yeah, I just feel like that's interesting. And we did an entire episode on what to think about at the beginning. So definitely go back and watch that episode if you haven't yet, because we did go into great detail about these classes and how that works. But I don't know, I just threw that question in because I do feel like this is the point where you should be thinking way back there. These are the things you have to do as you go along in there. I know for me as a business person, I think about that and I think, oh, I definitely want to narrow this down to 1 or 2 things.
Right. And then there's something that, just for the life cycle discussion and closing the loop on it, is we also do something called an intent to use application,
Yeah.
which is just slightly different. So if you're if you're starting off and you got a really great idea, you can file what's called an intent to use application. That means I'm not selling something yet, but I want to plant my flag and say, I'm claiming this brand that I'm building. It goes through the same exact approval process. There could be office actions and back and forth. But instead of getting a registration, you get what's called a notice of allowance. And they're saying, we will allow you to register this mark and give you the date that you filed, because it goes back to that date. That will be where you planted your flag. But in 6 months, you have to show us that you're using it in commerce, because you don't get a registration until you sell something. And when you get a notice of allowance on an intent to use application, you have 6 months to file what's called a statement of use or ask for an extension. And you can get up to 5 of those. And eventually you have to prove to the USPTO, it wasn't just an idea in my head, because they don't want to gum up the records with a bunch of just ideas that nobody sold. So you have a certain amount of time to prove that you're actually now selling it. And so there's a little bit of a nuance there as far as like keeping an application alive and things going when you're doing an intent to use versus an in use, the more traditional, I'm already selling something and you've got a registration.
And does Trademark Engine file those for customers, or how does that work?
Absolutely. So we will take care of you whether you're already selling something or whether you've got it in plans. And then if you do the intent to use, we'll walk you through the notice of allowance process to get your notice of allowance, just like we do with the application. And then we'll send you reminders. It's a 6-month window. It's, in the grand scheme of things, relatively short.
Yeah.
So we'll send you reminders. We'll help you with that statement of use. There is an additional filing fee. So as you're planning your startup, if you're 1 month away from selling something, you may want to, maybe it's not worth doing the intent to use. I'll wait a month until I have proof that I'm selling something and just do one instead of kind of doing this 2-step process. So that's part of the
You'd pay that
analysis.
twice? You'd pay the same amount twice in that?
It's a lot cheaper on the statement of use. You're not paying $350 like you did on your original application. And that $350 TO fee is the same for an intent to use application and an in-use application. But when you have to do the statement of use, or you ask for an extension, there's a $100 USPTO fee that goes to the USPTO every time you either extend or do a statement of use.
I see. So yeah, that's interesting. Wow. Okay. So it's complicated, but thank you for breaking it down for us, because I know for me as a business owner, I have a lot of ideas all the time. And so it's, oh, should I be like putting those out there? Should I be protecting those? And I appreciate you taking the time to walk through it with us. So if I wanted to do that, I just go to trademarkengine.com and you can find any of these things there.
Yes, exactly. And again, we're not expecting you to know the difference. We will ask as part of our automated process, hey, are you selling something with this? Yes or no? And then now the logic is all built in to take you down the right flow. And it's fully supported by customer support. So if you have questions beyond our automated process, and the important thing is there's always going to be a lawyer that will look at what you're trying to do and give it a final blessing to give you that level of confidence that you're on the right track.
No, that's great. All right. I'm going to come back and ask you more questions in a little bit. Stand by. But thank you guys for listening today. Make sure you go listen, like, and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and we will answer them as best as we can. We're always looking for your questions so that we can answer them. So thank you very much, Travis. Talk to you.